Hi, I'm Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy Segment Show. Also today in this segment, I'm at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado. The Gunnison Pioneer Museum is located on 803 East Tamichi Avenue in Gunnison, Colorado, and is open from mid-May to September 30, 7 days a week, 9 to 5. Also, the Gunnison Pioneer Museum has some historic artifacts from the earlier days inside the entry building, which includes exhibits such as dolls, musical instruments, pewter and silverware, photography equipment, and photos, paintings, arrowhead, and Native American artifacts, and a lot to see in there. Also, the Society stated its interest in preserving the history of the pioneers of Gunnison County, and by 1964, the Gunnison Pioneer Museum finally began. Also, the museum features a numerous of artifacts that it has to offer, such as the Miller Display Building, Levita Building, Moore Building, and the Old Main Building is the Yellow Building, which is near the current main entrance. A post office made out of logs, the Red Dairy Barn, and a lot of old buildings you can find on the grounds. Also outside there is a train display with a steam locomotive, Flanger snow plow, gondola, boxcar, stock car, caboose, an outfit car, and depot from the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad, as well as a lot of railroad items outside as well. Okay, you can see right here is a water tower, which is the museum sign dangling from it. And this one was used to fill water into the steam locomotive's water tanks many years ago. I think this one may have been used by the Denver and Rio Grande long ago, till ending up here at the museum. You can see right here is a switch stand. One of the switch stands in the museum's collection. It's right here. And it's seen right here, and it's next to the gondola car and boxcar today at the museum. Okay, here's another switch stand that may have been used by the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad. It's been right here for a number of years since it joined the collection. May have been somewhere along the Denver and Rio Grande line, but here it is today. Okay, here's another switch stand that may have been used by the Denver and Rio Grande. Yep, it looks like it's been bolted shut, and yeah, been part of the collection since its retirement from the railroad, and they have it nicely displayed here as well. Okay, here's another switch stand that's by this part of the fence, just right near this side in front of the McDonald's, and it's been right here. It's probably been used by Denver and Rio Grande long ago. And with this, it even looks like it's been rusted shut. Okay, you can see behind this pile of gravel, there's some mine carts, 4 mine carts in this corner of the museum, and these may have been used in the area. Let me take a look and see. This is a rock bumper car. And there's some more on here. It was used in Camford Mine in Ouray, Colorado. And this one, donated by the same family, same year, and used in OC Mine in Gunnison. This one donated same family, same year, and used in Outlaw Mesa. Along with this one back here, used in Lake City area and horizontal, and it was donated by Bill Rash in 2001 as well. Let's show you more. Okay, you can see over there, here's some more mine carts. I'm just gonna stand right here, but I think those were donated by the same person that donated the same mine carts we just viewed, and likely the same year as well. And they've been probably used in this area. And here they are today at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado. Okay, you can see right here 2 mine carts by the front entry, and these mine carts may have been used around here long ago, till ending up right here at the museum where they are today. And yeah, that's all the mine carts that you've seen in the collection. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 268. Denver and Rio Grande 268 was built by Baldwin in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1882 and is the 6,002nd steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 280 consolidation type steam locomotive and is a C16 class steam locomotive. This locomotive spent its career working for the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad and hauling freight and even passengers for many years, and it was named Cinderella. Also, as the Chicago Railroad Fair 1948 in Chicago, Illinois, the Deadwood Central narrow gauge train ride was so popular at the railroad fair's first year that another train set was brought in for the second. Known as the Cripple Creek and Tin Cup, the locomotive and cars were supplied by the Denver and Rio Grande Western. First time its introduction to the new paint scheme Bumblebee Yellow, and also used by Paramount Pictures to make the 1952 movie Denver and Rio Grande, which the locomotive appeared in. A romanticized history of the building of the Denver and Rio Grande filmed on the Railroad Silverton branch, and in 1954 it hauled the last revenue train west of Gunnison prior to removal of the track. In 1955, the locomotive was used on the wrecking train that dismantled the Crested Butte branch tracks. Then it was retired and donated to the city of Gunnison, Colorado, and put on display at Gunnison City Park for 3 years, and it was brought to Denver, Colorado, where it was exhibited during the city's centennial celebration. Then, on the return to Gunnison, Colorado, it was painted black and placed in an open field at the opposite end of town from the park. Then the locomotive was restored and was then moved to the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is today, and sometime around the 1990s it was repainted with its Bumblebee paint scheme as it is today. Also, Denver and Rio Grande 268 is one of 10 surviving Denver and Rio Grande 280s left in the world today, and is one of 9 narrow gauge Denver and Rio Grande 280s left surviving today as well. And 268 can be found here at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. And you can even step up to the locomotive's footplate, and also you can even ring the locomotive's bell. And that's how it's done. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande OD. Denver and Rio Grande OD was built by the Denver and Rio Grande shops in Denver, Colorado in 1885 and is a Flanger snowplow. This snowplow was mounted behind the engine. It was used to remove snow and ice from between the rails and to push it off of the track when it was used on the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad for maintenance of way service as well. Then later on it was retired and then came to be part of the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. Okay, you can see right here some crossing lights displayed next to the train display here at the museum, and it's been at a railroad crossing many years ago, and here it is right here today. Okay, you can see right here is a crossing signal displayed here at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado. It's been likely with the Denver and Rio Grande line, the narrow gauge part of it, until ending up right here at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum, where it can be seen on this side of the train display today. What you see right here with a wigwag that was used at railroad crossings like any other railroad crossing signals. And possibly a Denver and Rio Grande signal. It could be, but here it is today. See right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 710. Denver and Rio Grande 710 was built by American Car and Foundry in St. Charles, Missouri in 1904 and is a gondola car. This car was used on the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad, hauling whatever gondolas hauled, like coal or anything it has hauled before. Then later on, this car was retired and was then put on display at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. You see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande C763. Denver and Rio Grande 5763 was built by American Car and Foundry in St. Charles, Missouri in 1904 and is a stock car. This car once hauled sheep from farms to whatever destination in the past on the Denver and Rio Grande narrow gauge line. Then it was retired and was then put on display at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 3633. Denver and Rio Grande 3633 was built by American Car and Foundry in St. Charles, Missouri in 1904 and is a boxcar. This car was probably built as a caboose or flat car originally. Then, in 1925, it was rebuilt as a boxcar. Also, it was used on the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad in the past on narrow gauge freight trains as well. Then later on, the car was retired and was put on display at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 0589. Denver and Rio Grande 0589 was built by the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad shops in Denver, Colorado in 1900 and is a narrow gauge off-center cupola caboose. This caboose was used on trains in the past on the Denver and Rio Grande narrow gauge line and was the office for the train crew. Then later on, the caboose was retired and put on display here at the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today, and you can even visit the interior of it as well. Okay, you can see right here is a weed sprayer maintenance of way piece. This piece has been here in the collection for a number of years, and also it was used to spray weeds off the tracks many years ago until it was retired. It found its way here to the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado. What you see right behind me is the Denver and Rio Grande Sergeant's Depot. The Denver and Rio Grande Sergeant's Depot was built somewhere in the 1900s or late 1800s, and it was originally located in Sargents, Colorado. It was used for passengers to buy a ticket and also board a train to go somewhere, or people to arrive in Sargents on a train from somewhere, and even sit in the waiting room while waiting for the train as well. Then later on, the depot was retired and was on the Irby family ranch till 1975, and this depot was donated to the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado by the Irby family of Sargents, Colorado. And also, It can be seen here on the grounds where it is today, and you could also visit the inside of it as well. And also inside there are exhibits you can see with railroad artifacts as well. Okay, I'm going to show you all the exhibits inside this depot. And I'll get behind the camera and show you all around, so here we go. Okay, so here we go walking through the depot. That looks like a portrait of the Denver and Rio Grande. Go right there. Now it says depot waiting room. Thought it says who the artist is, but maybe not. Here we go in the ticket office. There's a bell right there. And look at this train. Feel free to pause if you'd like to read that. And look in this case. Some old telegraphs and some old sheets. Wow. Pretty cool. Here's some luggage carts. This might have been the station master's living quarters. Look at that headlight. All these track hardware. All these pictures. The steam engine outside, Cinderella. Let's go inside the baggage room. There's some spikes on this. Look at this. Pretty interesting, isn't it? This looks like an unfinished diorama to me. Or maybe it is a finished diorama. Here's a hand car. And here's some old railroad display items. Yeah, pretty cool in here. What you see right behind me is the water tower. The water tower was built somewhere in the 1900s. It looks like the one that was originally located on the east side of Marshall Park in Mears Junction, Colorado, and was filled with 50,000 gallons of water, and this water tower was used for the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad. Also, it would be used for filling water into steam engines' water tanks when steam engines would make a stop to fill up with water in Mears Junction, Colorado, when this water tower was still in use. Then later on, this water tower was retired, and then in 1971, it was moved to the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is today. What you see right behind me is Denver and Rio Grande 04533. Denver and Rio Grande 04533 was built by the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad Shops in Denver, Colorado in 1902 and is a bunk car. This car looks just like a boxcar when it was built, and it was originally a boxcar for the railroad and was originally numbered 4533. It was rebuilt into a bunk car for maintenance of way service on the railroad. Then later on the car was retired, and then it also sat abandoned somewhere in Colorado. Then likely in late 2015 it was moved to the Gunnison Pioneer Museum in Gunnison, Colorado, where it is on display today. Okay, I'm going to show you all some exhibits in the Vulcan Building, and there are trains on the wall, so I'll get behind the camera and show you all around. Here we go. Okay, here we are inside the Vulcan Building, looking at some old model trains. Oh, look at that. Some trains on this poster. There's some G-scale, some Lionel, and wow, HO scale, and a lot. Looks like American Flyer. If you'd like to read that, feel free to pause. Lionel. A lot to see in here. That looks like the same paint scheme as the locomotive seen outdoors here at the museum. There's a Lionel poster and some whole trains. And there's some, these look like, oh yeah, Lionel. Some more back here as well. Oh, I hope y'all enjoyed learning about trains with me today in Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show. Also, I hope to see you all again in the next segment. And if you didn't subscribe to my channel yet, the subscribe button is just down below the video screen. And if you didn't give the Facebook page a like yet, here's where you can find it. as well as the Instagram page if you didn't give it a follow yet. Be sure to do both of those. And be sure to get your merch at teesprings.com. Link is in the description box below, along with the Facebook page and Instagram page. Remember to subscribe to the Train Guy. So this is Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy Segment Show, signing out until next time. All aboard!